He won't be a boy forever, and winter is coming.
In a world driven by ambition, betrayal, and power, one man stood tall. Not because he sought the throne, but because he refused to kneel to injustice. He was a father, a leader, a warrior, and the first true hero we ever lost. Eddard Stark, Lord of Winterfell, Warden of the North. In the vast and brutal world of Westeros, his story is one of honor, heartbreak, and sacrifice. Today, we dive deep into the life, legacy, and downfall of the man who shaped the very soul of Game of Thrones, Ned Stark. The tragic heart of Game of Thrones, Eddard Stark was born at Winterfell, the ancestral seat of House Stark, one of the oldest and most respected families in Westeros. The Starks trace their lineage back over 8,000 years to the first men, rulers of the North long before the Targaryens conquered the continent. Ned's father, Lord Rickard Stark, sent him to be fostered at the Eyrie under Jon Arryn. There, he grew up alongside Robert Baratheon. The two would become more than just foster brothers. They became lifelong friends, bonded by shared values and a deep sense of loyalty. But fate had different plans. The spark that lit the fire of Robert's rebellion began with tragedy. Ned's sister, Lyanna, was allegedly kidnapped by Prince Rhaegar Targaryen. In retaliation, Ned's older brother Brandon went to King's Landing demanding her return. The Mad King, Aerys II, brutally executed Brandon and Rickard Stark. That moment changed everything. Ned took up arms alongside Robert. He fought not just for revenge, but for duty. The war was long and bloody. Ned fought with honor and courage, but it came at a cost. At the Battle of the Trident, Robert killed Rhaegar. The war was won, but what Ned found afterward would become his heaviest burden. At the Tower of Joy, Ned and a few loyal men confronted the last of the Kingsguard. Inside, he found Lyanna dying in childbirth. Her final words, "Promise me, Ned." That promise to protect her son, the child of Rhaegar and Lyanna, would define the rest of his life. Jon Snow wasn't Ned's bastard. He was the son of the prince and the woman he loved. If Robert ever found out, the child would be killed. So Ned lied to protect him. He brought the baby back to Winterfell and raised him as his own, never even telling his wife the truth. In a world full of liars and schemers, Ned's first great lie was one of love and sacrifice. As Lord of Winterfell, Ned ruled with justice, compassion, and a deep sense of responsibility. He was respected, not feared. He taught his children the old ways, the northern way. The man who passes the sentence should swing the sword, he told them. And he lived by those words. This wasn't cruelty, it was accountability. Ned believed that leadership required personal responsibility. He wasn't just teaching his sons how to rule, he was teaching them how to be men. His relationship with each of his children reveals different sides of him. With Robb, he was proud and trusting. With Sansa, he was protective. With Arya, he nurtured her independence. With Bran, he shared wisdom. And with Jon, he showed a quiet, painful love. Ned's dynamic with Jon Snow is perhaps his most tragic bond. He endured his wife's resentment and the whispers of the court for the sake of a boy who would one day need to know who he really was. But that day never came, at least not while Ned was alive. Everything changed when King Robert rode north. Robert asked Ned to be Hand of the King. It wasn't just a request, it was a call for help. The realm was in decay. Jon Arryn was dead. Corruption, manipulation, and treachery ruled in King's Landing. Ned didn't want to go. He knew what court life meant, but duty called. In the capital, Ned quickly found himself out of place. His honesty, so valued in the North, became a liability. The court was filled with vipers. Cersei Lannister, Littlefinger, Varys, all masters of deception. And then there was Joffrey, Robert's alleged heir. But Ned began to uncover a dangerous truth. Joffrey wasn't Robert's son. He was the child of incest between Cersei and Jaime. He gave her a chance to flee, because that's who Ned was, honorable to a fault. He thought the truth would be enough. He thought Robert's will would prevail, but Robert died. Littlefinger betrayed him. And Cersei struck first. Ned was arrested for treason. He was thrown into the dungeons, his daughters were held hostage. And suddenly, all his ideals, justice, truth, honor, meant nothing. He was given a choice: confess to treason and live, or die for the truth. For the sake of his daughters, Ned chose to lie. He confessed. He bent the knee. He gave up everything he believed in to protect his family. But Joffrey had other plans. Ned Stark, Lord of Winterfell, Warden of the North, and the moral center of Game of Thrones, was executed in front of the entire city. His head rolled, and with it, the last piece of stability in the realm. It was the moment that told the world, this isn't a fairy tale. Heroes don't always win, and honor doesn't guarantee survival. Ned Stark may have died in season 1, but his presence shaped the rest of the series. Robb tried to avenge him, leading to the War of the Five Kings. Arya's journey into vengeance began with her father's death. Sansa's transformation from naive girl to political mastermind was forged in the trauma of losing him. Jon Snow, raised in Ned's image, would carry his ideals to the wall and beyond. Even in death, Ned remained the moral compass. The memory of his values haunted every Stark child. And ironically, it was the lessons they learned from his death, not his life, that helped them survive. The North remembered. In the books, we get an even deeper look at Ned's inner world. We see his guilt over the deaths during the rebellion. We feel his struggle to keep the secret of Jon's parentage. We understand his discomfort with court politics. Book Ned isn't just honorable. He's introspective, traumatized, and quietly tormented. He reflects constantly on what is right, even when he knows it may cost him. His final thoughts in the dungeon aren't of anger or vengeance. They're of his children and how he failed to protect them. He's not a perfect man, but in a world of monsters, he remains a rare symbol of decency. Ned Stark's story is one of love, sacrifice, and tragedy. He wasn't just a casualty of the Game of Thrones. He was the heart of the story. And when that heart stopped beating, everything fell apart. His death wasn't the end. It was the beginning of a legacy. His children carried it. His enemies feared it. And we as fans never forgot it. In the end, Ned Stark did what he always did. He put others before himself. He kept his promises. He stood for something, and in a world like Westeros, that made him extraordinary. Winter is coming,